Today, Apple held their 2018 WWDC event, and I want to make sure to tell you guys what I think are the key highlights from that event, so let's get right into this. So the first thing is that there are over 20 million Apple developers, and next month the App Store is actually turning 10 years old. iOS is one of the most important things for Apple to make sure is great. So iOS 12 is coming out. Just like every year, there's a new iOS update. And with iOS 12, there are going to be a bunch of new things. So before I actually get into the iOS 12 updates, for iOS 11, it only took 7 weeks for half of the iOS users to transfer from iOS 10 to 11, as well as Apple was roasting Android for pretty much not having an Android update for most of their devices. For iOS 12, Apple is double down on performance of the OS. The devices that are going to be supporting iOS 12 is going to last from now all the way down to 2013 devices. So it's going to be like the previous iOS 11 version, but now with the addition of the current generation devices. And obviously the newer generation devices. So it's one of the largest app supported updates for Apple. iOS 12 is also going to be focusing on making the OS faster and for the user to have a better, faster experience while using their device. Since Apple is able to control their silicon, they are able to control how fast it ramps up to 100% to make sure that it is nice and best quality for the end user. So that's why they can actually perform things faster and make the animations look better without faking it like other devices would in the past. So they also talked about AR. AR was a pretty big thing in WWDC 2018, and Apple with Pixar developed a brand new file format called USDZ. This file format is for people that are developing for AR. It is much more efficient to use USDZ instead of using the previous file formats that you would use as a developer. Also, great news with the USDZ is that Adobe is covering the Creative Cloud platform natively with support of the USDZ file format. ARKit 2 was announced, and that gave you improvements to ARKit as well as multiple users for AR. So you can actually see your other users that are using AR, and it makes it so you can actually be more immersed into the activity that you are doing. While they were showing off the ARKit 2 demo, they took people from Lego and they pretty much played with Legos as the demo. That was a pretty long demo of them literally just playing with Legos in AR. So Apple changed the Photos app a little bit by making it pretty much like Google Photos. If you use the Google Photos app, it's pretty similar to that. So Apple also made it so you can share your photos by suggesting it with Siri. And once you send those suggested photos to a couple of your friends or the group that you were hanging out with, they actually get a suggested share back feature, which is pretty cool. So all of you guys can actually have all those photos in one on your device without any hassle. Apple was talking pretty good about Siri, but according to real world, it's not that good, but they are improving it with these shortcuts. You are able to control what Siri does with custom voice commands based on different apps that you use. You set up your own shortcut command. So let's say if you do go home or I'm going home, it gives you all your stuff and you can set up a shortcut list. So it's pretty much like if you use Alexa, you can set up at a specific time or something. When you say a keyword, it sets up, it says the weather, it says the ETA, it gives you maps, and it's a bunch of cool features that you get with Siri now being able to do shortcuts. Apple improved their native apps. The News app is now easier to navigate and it looks a little bit better, as well as the Stock app, which looks better. Apple News isn't now in Stock apps. It supports after hours. Now it supports Mac and iPad. The voice memos has gotten a well-deserved design change. Now it looks much better than it used to, and it supports iCloud and it supports the iPad as well and the Mac. So what was previously known as iBooks is now known as AppleBooks. It's the best name change ever. It looks much better now, and it's easier to use now with the update as well. Apple CarPlay has gotten a huge update, now supporting third-party navigation software. So just like Google and other app developers, Apple has joined in to the digital health area. They've improved how Do Not Disturb works. You can now set it up, schedule it specific times, even at night, so you get no notifications at night or control over your notifications. You can group notifications now. You can analyze your screen time, as well as limiting the time you can use an app during a day. You can manage your usage of apps and how much apps or what apps you can use for parents for their kids on their family sharing platform that Apple has made. So Apple seems to be very proud with their tongue detection software that they're doing for their Animojis and their messaging app updates. Memoji is also a thing, and fun effects, which is pretty much just some effects that you can apply. So if you ever used YouTube Live or anything like that, it's just pretty much like preset effects that have made your video look different than just random raw video. FaceTime has gotten a bunch of improvements. I quote Apple, big leap forward. Group FaceTime, which supports up to 32 people. Messages integration, you can now send into a group chat a FaceTime button, and you can join and leave FaceTime anytime you want while you're in a group message, so you can bring that group chat into one FaceTime call. And FaceTime also supports the fun effects, but ultimately the group FaceTime has been executed pretty well by Apple. So now Apple Watch is next. Apple Watch is apparently the #1 smartwatch on the market. It's grown 60% since 2017, and the Apple Watch saves lives. They covered how some people really got their lives saved because of how the Apple Watch functions. So now you can compete with your friends with your health and fitness apps. For 7 days, you can have competition, as well as there are new workouts, yoga and hiking, and it auto detects how you work out to tell you when to actually stop if it has to recommend you to stop. As well as there is a new walkie-talkie feature, which is pretty much exactly how a walkie-talkie works, but you can do it with your Apple Watch. And now the watch face for Siri supports third-party developers and shortcuts as well on the Apple Watch. And now you can also have interactive notifications, websites on watches, and they brought Apple Podcasts to the Apple Watch. Apple Watch also works with your student ID now. There's a select number of universities and colleges that support it now, but they are stating that they will improve the amount of schools supported, so you can have your student ID on your Apple Watch. As well as new watch faces for Apple. Since it is Pride Month, they have new bands and a new watch face, which I really like the watch face. It looks pretty cool. So next after Apple Watch is Apple TV. Apple TV now supports Dolby Atmos, which is their sound system. It's a 3D space sound. Apple TV is certified for Adobe Vision and Adobe Atmos. If you have the previous version of a movie, you can have a free upgrade to Atmos. Apple TV now supports live sports and news, as well as a zero sign-in thing that they're trying out, which I quote, just works. So let's actually wonder how that works. I might have to test that out later, or we'll have to see how that works out later. But yeah, we'll see. That's interesting. And also, their new aerial location thing that they do now has Earth. They partnered with ISS, the International Space Station, to get video of Earth rotating, and it's beautiful in my opinion. Now Macs. Most of you are probably wondering how the Macs work, because that's their computer, that's their best thing other than the iPhone. Macs is also a huge deal for Apple. Apple said, and I quote, "Huge leap forward for the Mac." With macOS getting huge updates, it went from Yosemite to El Capitan to Sierra to High Sierra, and now we have macOS Mojave. Now Mojave brings to macOS the dark mode that we have been speculating for the last couple years. They finally brought it to the Mac, and now it also brings dynamic desktop, which transitions from day to night with your background. Also on the desktop, you can now stack your items so it's not as cluttered, and it automatically backs up the stacking. It functions pretty good in terms of segregating each item. Specifically, if you place an item onto your desktop, it automatically places that onto that stack. The Finder got a new view, which is gallery view, as well as the sidebar now supports, if you're a photographer or videographer, this is big news. It supports full support for metadata, as well as quick actions have been improved. And you can screenshot now videos, so you can video screenshot things, as well as the screenshot on macOS is now very similar to what you would see on your iPhone. So Apple really made a big statement for this. Continuity is their big thing now, with merging the Mac and the iPhone, with ability to use both of them to get one project done. So they get from your Mac, you need to place a photo or something, or a scan of a document, it automatically asks your iPhone to open the app, the camera app, or whatever app you need to scan the document or take a photo of. And once you take it, you press save, and it automatically is backed up onto the document that you are actually working on your Mac. So like I stated beforehand, news, stocks, voice memos, and now home is on the Mac. So you can control your home thermostat, your lights, everything that is supported on Apple Home is now on your Mac. Apple focused on security as well and privacy. Both iOS and Mac Safari has gotten amazing changes in terms of fingerprinting, no more comment sharing, that tracking that you see, those comments and those like buttons, they track your services. So if websites want to, they now have to have prompt to get your data tracked. So that really changes the privacy for Safari, as well as data protection. In terms of using Safari, your Mac is now the same as exactly everyone else's. It's the most default state, so they can't actually use your Mac specifically for like data to be collected by these data companies. The Mac App Store also got some major changes with a new design. Now you have discover, create, work, play, and develop, and more options. It looks much better than it did previously, and it merges really well with the OS. There's two key new main technologies that I want to talk about is Metal. Metal is supported on over 1 billion devices, as well as it was demoed that a MacBook with an eGPU was rendering a simulation in their demo footage. As well as Create ML, it's an easier way for the masses to be able to do machine learning. So it's faster, it's easier, and it's better to do machine learning on a Mac now. Also, Apple answered a great question that people had is, are you merging Mac and iOS? And Apple gave us a great looking no. There are three main sections of what Apple is developing software-wise. They have your app, they have your web, and they have your video games. They are merging the iOS UI kit with the macOS kit, and they are making one kit that is going to bring the developers that want to transfer apps from the iOS device to the macOS device, and it's going to be much easier, and it's going to be able to work better, as well as Apple showing us that they used this exact kit that they just developed, which is going to be available to developers in 2019 to use for their apps. Apple made the Apple stocks, all these apps that I mentioned before, the stock, the news, they are all supported via this new UI kit, or this new kit that Apple developed. So all these updates are going to be coming up really soon in this fall of 2018, as well as Apple making this quick video. Before I leave, I want to make sure you guys watch it if you are a developer. It's pretty good. I like this video a lot, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. Love you guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're brand new to your channel, and enjoy the video.
Ask me another question. My son is a developer at Robinhood.
My daughter Jyoti is a WWDC 2018 scholarship winner.
My brother started and founded Yelp.
Oleo.
Timeless.
One drop.
Splitter critters.
Homer. You gotta look at her.
My brother Derek created the app.